What is happening, baby? Welcome back to the Huddle Chat Sports Network's very own Fantasy Football Huddle, presented by Danklyfe brand and yours truly, Dallas Clark. Today, we're discussing those middle rounds in your fantasy football draft. In the early rounds, you're going to be drafting your heavy hitters, the easy picks in the first round. The late round, those are the people that we have a lot of upside for, a lot of hope for, but you're not drafting a ton of stock in. Everybody loves the late rounds, but you really start to build a winning roster in your middle rounds. It's important to build a solid foundation with no holes in these middle rounds. And here are some targets that we can really pinpoint in these middle rounds that should far outscore their ADP and really help you build a winning roster, and one that will have no holes, that will be able to help you continue throughout the season stress-free and get that leg up on those idiots in your fantasy football league. Now, without further ado, before we get started, as we always do, it's time to fill up your cup, roll something up, and let's get right into the news. Starting off with Philadelphia Eagles Devontae Smith. The fact that Devontae Smith is getting drafted almost in the 30s when it comes to wide receivers, you're looking like you're able to get him right now in about the 5th or 6th round in competitive leagues. Devontae Smith has finished as a top 20 wide receiver for 3 straight seasons. You're looking at him right now being 11th in target share in the NFL, and he's top 20 in yards per route run. Not only that, but he's also top 12 in first downs per route run. The man is a walking fantasy football point every time he touches the football. You're looking at Devontae Smith having the ability to exceed that top 20 ADP or that top 30 ADP that he's currently in at the current moment and really easily hit that top 20 mark. You're looking at him being opposite of A.J. Brown. He may not be the sexiest, flashiest player that he used to be, but Devontae Smith is still a safe floor play with a high ceiling. Moving on from there, you're looking at Jordan Addison from the Minnesota Vikings. You're looking at Jordan Addison now having improved quarterback play with J.J. McCarthy, and he was a top 20 wide receiver each of the last 2 seasons. He played great last season despite abysmal quarterback play, and he's got 19 touchdowns over 33 games, which has been more than Tyreek Hill and Garrett Wilson over that span of that first 33 games. You're looking at Jordan Addison and this Minnesota Vikings offense in that Kevin O'Connell scheme. It's a pass-heavy offense, an offense that really leans on their talented players, and Jordan Addison is one of the most talented players on this roster. Sort of like Devontae Smith, having one of the best wide receivers in the league opposite of Jordan Addison. You're looking at him having Justin Jefferson. Jay Jetta's out there. Jordan Addison always gets that number 2 coverage. Justin Jefferson is getting that double coverage when it comes to the defensive scheme. You're looking at Jordan Addison really able to lock in and really make it a point to far exceed his expectations. And he's done so over the last 2 seasons, and I don't think that this year is going to be any different. Before we move on into the next couple of players, I want to make sure I ask you guys, if you haven't yet, hit the button that looks like this. It helps me so much more than you already know. Smash that like button. And if you haven't yet, I'm strongly encouraging you to put the D in that subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notifications bell because it helps you out way more than you even know. We got a ton of pre-draft information coming out right now and a lot of advanced statistics on how myself and a lot of experts really start to make those rankings. I'm helping you understand how to become not just a better fantasy football player, but a fantasy football analyst as well, because we're analyzing the game and trying to predict the future. Now, like I said, if you haven't yet, hit that subscriptions bar as well as that notifications bell. It helps us all out more than you even understand. Moving on to the next wide receiver in these middle rounds that can really help you win your draft, you're going to be looking at Khalil Shakir from the Buffalo Bills. He led the Buffalo Bills last season in route participation. He's in a pass-heavy offense, and it also helps out that he's just coming off that recent 4-year extension. They want to feed him the ball. They want to get their monies out of Khalil Shakir. You're looking at his ADP at the current moment being in the 40s amongst wide receivers. You're looking at him right now being a person that you can draft in the 9th or 10th round. You're getting upside as a wide receiver 3, a low-end wide receiver 2 in the double-digit rounds. That's unmatched upside that late in the draft. Khalil Shakir is somebody I'm hammering in every one of my drafts because, especially at price right now, it's hard to deny Khalil Shakir is far going to exceed his expectation. Next on the list is going to be Courtland Sutton from the Denver Broncos, another player who just recently signed an extension with his team. You're looking at him being wide receiver 26, currently going in about the 5th round, the 501 spot. Courtland Sutton, overall in the entire NFL last year, was the number 3 wide receiver overall in contested catch rate. You also look at him having the 2nd most air yards in the league and the 7th most deep targets in the league. Not only that, we're looking at this Denver Broncos offense and Bo Nix, and I really liked what I saw from this team team and from Bo Nix in the second half of the season. If you may not know, the Sean Payton scheme, who is the offensive coordinator and head coach of the Denver Broncos, the Sean Payton scheme has been known to be a little bit harder to grasp, a little bit more difficult to understand. And you saw that at the beginning of the season. The Denver Broncos and Bo Nix struggled quite a bit. Over the second half of the season, you're looking at Bo Nix, weeks 8 through 18, was quarterback number 6 overall in fantasy football. You're looking at, in that same span, you're looking at Courtland Sutton being wide receiver number 10, weeks 8 through 18. Week 9 on, he was wide receiver 8. You're looking at what we started to get when Bo Nix it really started to click for him in this offense, in this offensive scheme, how large of a step this offense, Courtland Sutton, Bo Nix, everybody involved was able to take. To give me the alpha wide receiver with an improving quarterback on a team that's improving and a team that has a lot of potential to win quite a few games and have to throw quite a bit with the division that they're in. I like Courtland Sutton a lot, and I definitely think he's going to far exceed that wide receiver 26 ADP at the current moment. Now, wrapping things up, I saved the best for last. This wide receiver is one that many people have been talking about, and it's hard to deny it. I want to give you the information on why everybody is all over Calvin Ridley at the current moment for the Tennessee Titans. It starts off with him being over 1,000-yard wide receiver in back-to-back years. He also went over 1,000 yards last year with the Tennessee Titans with absolutely putrid quarterback play. Right now, Calvin Ridley is going as wide receiver 37 in about the 7th round, about that 708 spot. You're looking at Calvin Ridley disappointing over the last couple of years because of his ADP going into the draft. A lot of people were drafting Calvin Ridley at his upside and were disappointed that he didn't meet the extreme upside that we were trying to set for him. Now, at the current moment, because of that, you're looking at this being a 1,000-yard wide receiver. It wasn't a disappointing season for him last season, but it was disappointing if you drafted him in the second round of your draft. Right now, getting this wide receiver who can be a number 2 wide receiver on your fantasy football league in the 6th, 7th round, you're looking at Calvin Ridley leading the NFL in unrealized air yards. You're looking at Cam Ward coming in, and I can't lie to you, as an Indianapolis Colts fan, I'm hating how much I love Cam Ward at the current moment, because you're looking at Cam Ward leading college football in deep passing last year. You're looking at Cam Ward coming out and looking like an instantaneous leader on this team. Reports are coming out that he's coming into work at 4:30 in the morning. They're having to kick him out at night with how late he is staying. And he said it's all because he watched his dad come and work a job, get up every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning for a job he hated. The least he could do is get up and go to a job that he loves and put in the work. And not many people do that. My own quarterback hasn't been doing that at the current moment. This new rookie quarterback has also been a trend for breakouts for mid-round wide receivers. Let's look at Courtland Sutton last year getting Bo Nix. Let's look at some of these wide receivers like Terry McLaurin that got a rookie wide receiver and helped boost them and bolster them to that top position that they're at the current moment. You're looking at Calvin Ridley, going back to the wide receiver we're speaking on. You're looking at Calvin Ridley being a top 85% wide receiver in the league on his win rate on routes run. He's a route running animal, and the fact that he's getting drafted almost in the 40s, down there with Khalil Shakir at wide receiver 37, is absolutely abysmal. The upside is unmatched in the 7th round to grab Calvin Ridley. I'll go on Calvin Ridley early if I have to. I want a piece of this magic. And you're looking at Calvin Ridley essentially being what I've liked to been told Tony Pollard of wide receivers. He's not on a sexy team. He's not on the most spectacular team. But if Cam Ward can push this Tennessee Titans team to be even a mid-range team, a top 17 team in the league as far as an offensive standpoint, you're looking at the only person really being able to benefit truly is Calvin Ridley and the people that draft Calvin Ridley to their team. Now, that's going to be it for the day's episode as far as the middle round wide receivers that can really help you win your league this season. Like I said, the next episode is going to be covering the running backs. I know it took me a couple of days to come out with my following episode. As you guys can see, took a little bit of an injury this week. I just honestly wasn't really feeling up to recording videos, but we got the energy back today, guys. I know I can't be slacking on you guys like that. Like I said, we're coming out with videos 5 or 6 days a week at this point. Stay tuned for the next episode that's coming out, which is going to be those running backs in the middle rounds. We're still continuing with our quarterbacks and tight end rankings. We're still continuing with the offseason changes. There's a ton of information coming out for you guys at this current moment. So if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that subscriptions bar as well as that notifications bell so you always stay in the know on what's going on over here at the Huddle Chat Sports Network. Thank you so much for your time today, and make sure you always keep that chin up and that attitude down, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.